The Sixers finally lose. Not a good loss, Mitch. Not a good
No.
loss. We'll talk about that and more next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code all lowercase Locked On NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Hi, Keith Pompey alongside my right hand man. What's up, Mitch? How you been, bro?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, brother, on what's turning out to be a rather sorry morning after for the city of Philadelphia in both professional sports.
Yeah, bro. Like the Eagles lost to a struggling team. The 76ers lost to a bad team, but looked like they got better talent than their record.
They do.
Mitch, I'm gonna be real with you. The Sixers look like they were sleepwalking. Like they got out and then they put the bench in, which the bench had been playing a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden stuff started going away from them, right?
Yeah.
It started going away. And they ended up losing 108 to 104 to the Chicago Bulls. It was just I'm not gonna say a bad loss, but when you think about it, this was, I know you said you only play what's ahead of you. Well, the Sixers had a 7-game stretch against 5 of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Of those 5 teams, this team, the Chicago Bulls, were the 4th worst team in the East. And they came in here and was giving the Sixers the business at times. And unfortunately for the Sixers, it turned out to be a 2-man show, man. And they were going to, they shot the ball 88 times. Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid combined to shoot 51 of them. Now, Joel had 38? Maxey, I think he had 29? But it's to a point, man. To me, do you say a bad loss in December is a bad loss? You understand what I'm saying? Like when you won 6 in a row. But to me, it was an eye-opening loss. And I'm not trying to react, but to me, it was an eye-opening loss.
Yeah, it was disappointing because I really felt that they would be taking a 7-game winning streak into Wednesday's big game with Minnesota. But they just never, it's like you don't expect the Chicago Bulls, and like you said, and while they are playing, they are playing better, they're still in what's basically the bottom of the bucket of that Eastern Conference. Although, again, they are playing better, but I expected them to, I was expecting them to snap out of it, and they were making their pushes, and every time they made a push, they would get close, and then Chicago would respond, and bad teams usually wilt under that kind of pressure in the NBA, but Chicago didn't. So, I do think it was one of those games. It's 82-game regular season. I think the Sixers might have been feeling themselves just a little bit, and sometimes, and it's the product, but sometimes these guys just show up and it ain't there. And when it's not there, that light doesn't come on. and it definitely didn't come on last night with them. They look lethargic. They look laconic. And Chicago took advantage of it, man. I mean, everybody played well for them. We didn't get much from our bench last night, and so here they are, with an L that they probably, you pretty much almost assumed that they wouldn't take this one, but they did.
Yeah, they took it. And correction, Joel Embiid had 40 points, right? But look, here's the thing, man. So I'm just going to read this to you. So Joel Embiid had 40 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. He had 4 turnovers. He had 2 blocks, right? He shot the ball 15 for 28 times, right?
I can live with that from him.
Yeah, I can live with that. He was 2 for 6 on threes. He was 8 for 9 from the foul line. Tyrese Maxey, 29 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 turnovers, 1 steal. He shot the ball 9 for 23. He was 5 for 11 on threes. He was a 6 for 6 from the foul line, right? Then here we go.
Here we go.
I'm talking about starters. DeAnthony Melton, 6 points, 3 for 5 shooting, 0 for 1 for threes. Tobias Harris, 3 points, 1 for 3 shooting. He made his lone 3-pointer, right? Nick Batum, 3 points, 1 for 4 shooting, and they were all threes, right? Mm-hmm. Then you go down to the bench. Kelly Oubre, 2 for 10 shooting, 1 for 5 on threes. Pat Bev, 2 for 6, 0 for 2 on threes. Robert Covington, 1 for 3. He didn't attempt a 3. Paul Reed, 3 for 5, 3 for 5, 0 for 1 on threes. And then you had Daniel House, 1 for 1. That was a 3. The bench, you look at this, Pat Bev, minus 15 in 19 minutes. Kelly Oubre, minus 10 in 24 minutes. Robert Covington, minus 15 in 14 minutes. Paul Reed, minus 4 in 12 minutes. And Daniel House, minus 3 in 6 minutes. The bench killed them. And the lack of, I guess, team play destroyed them as well.
Yeah, and but the thing that concerns me most is you have Melton just taking 5 shots.
Yeah.
You have Tobias. I mean, Tobias was just coming off a very aggressive game, where he broke into the 20-point realm for the first time in weeks. And then he shows up, and he's 1 for 3. Nick Batum, 1 for 4. Didn't even attempt a 2-pointer. He was 1 for 4, and they were all 3-pointers. So those guys had to be more assertive and more aggressive. I know the bench didn't play well, but I just, you can't tolerate that from, Tobias, Nick Batum. I guess he had some physical stuff going on with him, and DeAnthony Melton. I mean, if those guys just come a little bit, if they just come on a little bit, it's a win for them.
But a question for you though. Mm-hmm. Do they got to be more assertive, or was it, or they weren't getting the ball? I mean, you could look at it both ways. Like, when you look at the box score, like I had people hitting me up after the game, like people from different markets, right? Like, yo, bruh, what was up with Tobias?
Yeah.
3 shots?
Yeah.
3 shots?
That's unacceptable.
Then,
That's unacceptable out of him.
But again, it's unacceptable. But again, it was like they were getting the ball and they weren't looking for people either. Mm. Like, so it's kind of sort of like, I don't know, that 2-man, they was doing a 2-man game. Now, again, there was opportunity. Like, you can say that, Tobias disappeared. But you can also say that they was gunning. That's a bad combination. It was like they weren't trying to get them involved. There was a couple of times where I saw them running, and you see Tobias, it looked like he was at a track meet, man. Like he was just doing sprints. He running down the court. He on the wing, he wide open.
Yeah.
Take it up. Listen, then Tobias just run back. Like, you know what I mean? It was like you didn't even look for him. So, again, I get it. you can go both ways. You can say he wasn't aggressive enough, but you can also say, like, yo, you got to get the guy involved. You know what I mean? And, like, whatchamacallit was big, 3 for 5. That ain't bad. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Like, how does Kelly Oubre get more shots than Tobias and Melton?
Because Kelly, as we see, Kelly gonna get his shots.
Yeah, he go at it a little bit more. Yeah,
he's gonna get his shots. But I mean, I think we can look at it and it was a loss at the end of the 6-game winning streak where they won the games by average 27.5 points, and they averaged 131 points per game during that winning streak. Of course, a lot of those games were, as I like to refer to them, as nighttime practices in front of a packed house. Detroit, Washington, but they don't have much of a break. They got to snap right back to attention for Wednesday, for facing the best team in the league right now. But I think I'm going to say that was a bad loss in December, and it's one that might bite you at the end of the season. When but they lost to a team that they should have beaten, even on a night when they were just kind of sleepwalking. But I'm pointing the finger. Really, it's I hate to be used Tobias as my whipping boy. I mean, but the only person he's got to be more. So he's got to find a way to get. Tobias got to give us 10 shots every night, Keith.
Yeah.
He got to find a way to get 10 shots every night, even if he breaks the offense.
Yeah. I mean, it's they gotta figure this out, because he disappeared, but at the same time, you gotta figure. I mean, they gotta figure it out. They gotta do it better. Like, you know what I mean? You gotta do it better. Like, you gotta do a better job. I mean, all the way around. Like, all the way around. Huh?
That's Nick Nurse, man.
Yeah, Nick Nurse got to figure this one out. He does. But look, man, we got to talk about Marcus Morris not being there, because that also hurt them, in my opinion. And then also Nico Batum getting injured, and again, I get it, Joel, and we got to talk about Joel missing that bunny. Like, it say it slipped off his hands, but it did. I think it shouldn't even came to that. Like, they were just had to battle back, and like you said, this team kept hitting shots and stuff like this. So we'll talk about that when we get right back from talking about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and what the winnings roll in. With the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball on the special league, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James plus Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made plus receptions. Want to play along some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view the entries some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community, right? So look, here's the deal. Share, or like when you go to PrizePicks, PrizePicks.com, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit matchup to $100, right? I'm repeating this now, right? Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit matchup for $100, right? So I'm telling you, do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Now, Mitch, the thing is, we talked about that bench, right? And for the people, and I'm sorry for being real repetitive, right? But Pat Bev, 2 for 6, 0 for 2 on threes.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Oubre Jr., 2 for 10, 1 for 5 on 3. Paul Reed, 3 for 5, 0 for 1 on threes. And Daniel House played 6 minutes, and he was 1 for 1, and that was on 3-pointers. Now, Marcus Morris missed the game. That illness that's going around the team,
Mm-hmm.
he has it. He missed the game. The thing is with that is you look at it and you say to yourself, they could have used him. Because here's a guy that's shooting over 50%. The month of December, talking about from free,
Right.
54%. The month of December, he's shooting 66.7% from 3.
Wow.
The December. Wow. Scorching it. I mean, the dude is like a bucket out there when he comes in. I mean, right now I'm telling you, he is rolling. And
hey, Keith, ever since you wrote that article, man, said he was playing stank.
Yeah, and he told me about it too. You know that, right? Like at first when you said that, I'm like, oh man, well, I laughed it off, right? So the boy ain't want to talk to me before, right? Because he was like, I want to play a game first before I talk to Keith.
And that's your boy.
So listen, we go to practice. And we had practice, so I'm looking at him. So he looked at me like he gave me that look, like normally it's like, what up? It wasn't no what up. He came over and spoke to the media and like let me know it, like, yo, what's up? Like, and like you wrote this, da da da. I said, well, look, man, like, but you next game you had a good game. I read that. I ain't read that one. I know I know what he said. And then after that, he was like. But here's the deal. They needed him to be that last night. He wasn't there. Yeah. But I'm just telling you, like 66.7% on freeze. And they needed that. Like Daniel House came in and gave him a little bit of minutes, 6 minutes. He had one shot. He made it, power to him. But they needed Marcus's shooting, dude. They missed that, man. They missed it.
Yeah, he's really in the month of December. He's really started to emerge as. I mean, I know Nicholas Batum has been the starter and has given some good outings when he's been available. But Morris has started to look like the guy you might want to. We keep talking about expiring contracts and guys that might get moved. He's. I mean, what was he? He was 5 for 5 the other day from the 3-point line.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade him. Yeah. I mean, I know they like star hunting, but I don't know if I trade him.
Yeah. So if I mean, they clearly missed him last night, and the Bulls have been playing. They've been playing down a starter, with Zach LaVine, but. Yeah, I think if even if they say about if it were 5th, we'd all be drunk, right? Even if it's early in the morning.
Yeah.
But I think that he you have to have enough to you got to beat a Chicago team, a shorthanded Chicago team, even if you're shorthanded, And again, I know you're saying that the 2-man game was a little bit much this year. But I still say those guys. I still look at Tobias, and I look at Batum, and I look at Melton, and I'm like, man, y'all just you got to get up more than 12 shots. You can't have 3 of your starters, but just guys who can all score. And you can't just get 12 shots out of that bunch. So when Morris gets back, and will he be available on Wednesday?
I mean, we'll find out. I mean, hopefully for them.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like the thing is, if for the 5th, but what I think what it really did is it just showcased his importance to the team. Like, not really his importance. It showcased that, yo, you might not want to trade this dude unless you got something else coming in, because these other dudes ain't really getting it. Like, I mean, see, the deal is, let's keep it 100. If we're going to be real, we was questioning a bench for a minute. Like, okay, they brought these new, like, they brought the new dudes in. Mm-hmm. What happened is, we didn't talk about him, Nico Batum, and we'll talk about that in the last segment, but Nico Batum got injured. So then you don't have a Marcus Morris, right?
Right.
That's two of the new dudes.
Yeah.
So then what happens is, like, y'all just ain't about that. Because what happened is they had to pick Kelly Oubre in the starting lineup. He played the entire fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It was like, it was hard for them. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. You know what I mean? So, like, all I'm saying is, unless you got something else coming in that you know that's really, really, really going to be good, I don't know if I'm getting rid of Marcus. Like, I don't know. Like, you know, you got to have something, because that bench coming off the bench ain't work. Now, Furkan Korkmaz can make a shot. He ain't play. But maybe they felt like the game was too big for him. But, you know, he didn't play. So, you know, right now I want to talk to y'all about FanDuel, and then we'll get more into Batum and all that. But, you know, right now, new customers could get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet on the NFL. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props. So visit FanDuel.com/locked on and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. I also want to talk to you a little bit about Lost National YouTube channel, Lost National, which is really the Locked On. So Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national sports covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe for the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Now, Mitch, how big do you think that is? Now, again, Nico Batum is a guy who really doesn't, you know, he's a glue guy. He does a lot of things that goes unnoticed. But they struggled without him, man. They struggled. I mean, like, it just seemed like guys got a little bit exposed with getting extra minutes.
Yeah, I think you know, he like you said, you referred to him a few times now as a glue guy, and he is. You know, he's a guy with a very high basketball IQ who fits him well alongside Maxey and Embiid. And you know, they miss what he's, you know, it's a hamstring issue he's got now.
Yeah, it was a hamstring issue.
Man, we hate hamstrings because the only thing for a hamstring is rest. You know, so you know, he's been playing well for them. Again, I think this loss was just kind of, you know, I hate to say it, you know, it was one of those games in the NBA where there's just nothing, you know, they just didn't show up as a team. And I'm you know, I want to see him get healthy to the degree he can get healthy, because, you know, that hamstring can linger for weeks and months, you know, depending on how bad it is. But yeah, they missed his presence last night. You know, the little stuff he does, you know, getting to the glass, facilitating, making that extra pass. He does a lot of those things, and you know, he wasn't there to really, because of his condition, really wasn't there to contribute like that last night.
Nah, he wasn't. Now let me ask you a question. Now, a lot of that shot that Embiid missed at the end with 6.6 seconds left would have nodded the score.
Mm-hmm.
He said it went off his hands. Did you like that shot?
It seemed a little bit rushed. I always like him. I mean, I know that the clock was winding down, and I knew he was getting the rock on that possession. I wasn't crazy about the shot. Number one, because he never was. It's like he never really gathered and got to the basket. You know, as the ball was like it was coming off his hand, as he was attempting the shot. You know, but I'll live with him taking that last shot. I'll live with him taking that last shot when he's playing the way he's playing. It wasn't a good shot. I don't think that's a democracy anymore. I think when it's come down to that last second, they pretty much give it to Joel, maybe Maxey. You know, I don't know if anybody else is at that level with the 76ers to be taking the shot at the end, but it seemed rushed. Seemed like it was rushed.
Yeah, it was. He said that afterwards, if he would have, you know, in hindsight, probably would have did a short jumper, like, you know what I mean, that he does, that he normally nails. He said it slipped off his hands. You know, but I also think it shouldn't have came down to that, because the thing about the game is they started off strong, but they couldn't put that team away, really. They were up 12, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they put, you know, they went to the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they came back. And then they brought Embiid back in. He was trying. And I think what happened is, honestly, if we're going to be real, a lot of we can sit here and we can talk about the lack of ball movement. We could talk about this. But it was like Embiid was trying to will his team to win. Like he was trying to get in and score and do this and do that. And you said whatever they kept coming back. I mean, they kept making a run, and then they would stick a jumper. And it's like, wow. Yeah. The Sixers would get within one, they would knock the score, and then they would go on a run. And then you take Embiid out, and he ain't have anything. Yeah. And so you can look at it two ways. Like, yeah, Tobias probably could have stepped up. Or, yeah, they could have got Tobias more involved. But the thing is, it looked like Embiid wasn't trying to lose. And he tried to take matters in his own hands. And I felt like he was gassed at the end. I did.
Yeah, he was.
He looked gassed. He looked gassed because, you know, and, you know, you can say, well, how is he gassed? How is he gassed? He hasn't been playing the fourth quarters of the other games. Well, that may have something to do with it too now. Like, you know what I mean? Like playing 20-something minutes, and now you're going hard for these stretches. So, like before, let's face it, he would play the whole first quarter. He would play like a little, you know, less than half of the second. And then he would and then, you know, he would play the majority of the third, but come out. It was one point in the third quarter. Remember, he was like, yo, he motioned for Paul Reed to come in. So it was rough. It was rough, man. It was rough.
And what you don't want to see happen is you don't want to see them become too Embiid centric. You know, you don't want them to just be, you know, saying, you know, he's good. I mean, because he's playing he's been the best player in the league. There's just no question. I think he's playing better than he played during his MVP season, and he's at a higher level because he's doing even more things, particularly with the assists. And you know, I even see him out there encouraging guys to take shots sometimes. You know, but that was not. It was not an ideal shot, kind of because he was moving. You know, he had to gather himself. They were playing against the clock, but if they could have gotten a little, you know, maybe him to get that pop jumper he takes, but that he makes like clockwork now from 10 to 12 feet, that might have been a solution, you know. And I mean, you know, he just gets that little rhythm before he gets the shot, and it's money.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm
not critical of anything. I will be his critic later in the season, but right now I'm not criticizing.
Oh, no, you can't be his critic. Like, I mean, like the dude's the best player in the league, man. Now. I mean, like you know, like you can say what you want, but he the best player in the league.
Best player in the league right now, man.
I mean, he the best player in the league. Yeah, like you asked him to pass the ball more, he is. Like, you know, it happens. You know what I mean? It happens. Like, how many times did Kobe miss a shot? How many times did Jordan miss a shot? Again, like I keep saying, it shouldn't have came down to that, right? You know what I mean? Like, You know what I mean? I'm not going to criticize him for that. I'm not.
Especially with the nice lead.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. But listen, y'all, we want to thank y'all for listening. We want y'all to know that this podcast is free and available. You can get it wherever you get your podcast at, and it's free and available wherever you get your podcast at. I want to stress that. You can go to our YouTube channel, Locked On 76ers, and get us. But when you do that, go there. Make sure you click on the Liberty Bell. Click on the Liberty Bell. That does two things. You become a subscriber, and you get notified when our next podcast comes. So we want to thank y'all for listening, and we want y'all to have a blessed day. Peace.
Thanks for listening, y'all.